Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll start off with, of course, the Palestine situation at this time, as far as a meeting between the Palestinian president and Blinken, in which he's categorically said that an immediate ceasefire must and is the only solution to kind of brutality that is happening at this time. Of course, the heavy bombardment in Gaza has intensified, particularly in the north, and we've seen more than 47 people killed in an Israeli attack today. There is also, of course, an increase in the civilian deaths. There is also a complete blackout as far as overall the situation in Palestine is concerned. Of course, we are also looking at the same time at massive rallies all over the world, particularly in Washington recently, where thousands of people of course marched in solidarity with Palestine. We'll be talking about the ramifications, the recent comments that have come from Iran also, and overall the public pressure that is mounting even as we speak against the hostilities, against the brutalities by Israel at this time. We'll be talking about the ramifications of this as the public pressure mounts, as the situation developed, and the world leaders perhaps will have a rethink of the kind of catastrophe that is at play at this time in Palestine, the kind of the death toll that is mounting, and no access to basic utilities, of course, that for a while has been the norm now in Palestine. All of that today. A little later on, we'll also be talking about the political situation. Of course, as the election date is now looming on the 8th of February, we'll be talking about different political parties, the kind of comments that are now coming from the PPP, of course, also, and after the meeting with the President and the Chief Election Commissioner, as we move towards candidates now, of course, applying for their tickets with political parties, dates have been set. What kind of a scenario can we expect in the next couple of weeks? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Abubaker, Munir Ahmad Sahab, who's an IR expert in the studio. Thank you for joining us. A little later on, we'll also be joined by other guests. I'm going to start off with Munir Sahab here. Munir Sahab, like I said, the rally in Washington was huge. We were just discussing that. There is a lot of public pressure for what's happening. The death toll that is mounting, all the accounts that are completely, we can't even talk about them in the sense that, they're not even, when we talk about the death of children, when we talk about the death of women, civilians, when we talk about, no access to basic utilities, when we talk about mothers fishing their children out of the rubble, there's just, the kind of imagery even is harrowing, so to speak. But the kind of talks that have recently happened, what do you expect now in your opinion? We've also had comments from Iran. We've also, of course, I want to mention this at the outset, unfortunately had that, comment from, no less a minister about, atomic bomb, and that also is a kind of that's another state of inhumanity that we see when we look at those comments. So what do you overall see as the situation develops?
Thank you very much. The inhumanity is historic. This is real-time genocide, and more than 10,000 people have been killed in it, and including over 5,000 children. But despite huge rallies, the rally you are mentioning, even the Western media mentioned that tens of thousands, quote unquote, people were in the rally. And this is not the first rally in America.
Yes.
People, those who have more human values, they are protesting against the genocide across the world.
Yes.
Not only in the Muslim countries, but also in the European countries, even in the different states of the United States. Despite their governments are fully supporting Israel, providing all ammunition, and even they have vetoed several resolutions in the UN Security Council. And though the members states have voted against it, 122 against this, and asked for immediate ceasefire. And this is really inhuman that the US and its couple of allies are not listening to it, and they always veto whatever that comes in the UN, or whatever negotiations we see around. And even the Secretary of State of the United States, Antony Blinken, has refused immediate ceasefire after its meeting with the Arab leaders and Mahmoud Abbas, the president of Palestine. And such kind of act is a sort of a sporting genocide. And America will not be forgiven in the history, and it would be remembered that the United States was part of the genocide. So this is the situation, and I really don't see in the near future any solace for the Palestinian people.
Let me include Abubaker, Younis, Matar also, who's here with us, who's an Arab journalist. Thank you so much for being with us. Abubaker, there is, we've been talking about the meeting of the Palestinian president with Blinken, and whether that's, it doesn't seem like it's going to have any immediate result at this time. We've also had the comment, unfortunate comment by no less, a minister, and about, of course, you must have heard. We've also, the former Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Sahab has categorically also condemned, along with other leaders, about dropping an atomic bomb. However, it was said, the question is, these kind of comments when people are dying every day. What are we looking at, in your opinion? Is it? It doesn't look like we're any close to a ceasefire, any close to a solution to the kind of death toll that is mounting even as we speak.
We are talking about genociders, we are talking about occupiers. We actually not dealing with normal people, we are dealing with killers. We are dealing with occupiers who have occupied a land since 78 years. So what they have done previously in Palestine to occupy Palestine was not something actually less than what they are doing now. Dropping nuclear weapon will not actually also be less than what they have already done since 1948, when they have actually displaced the people who were forced to leave their country, leave their houses in Palestine. And majority of Palestine, 95% of land of Palestine were occupied since then, and people were displaced from there to West Bank and to Gaza, and now they are continuously killing them. So this is the way occupiers do, this is the way genociders do. This is not something new we are facing, but what is actually really new is the silence of the world. But it's the silence of the United Nations, the silence of the international community, the silence
on the one hand, there is the silence. Yes, I agree with you. I think it would be hard not to agree with the way, again, we're talking about the brutality that is at play at this time. But at the same time, the reaction that is coming from the world, there is a huge part of the world, the civilians, all over the world, they are united in raising their voice against what's happening in Palestine. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and that means one thing, that there's a huge gap in between the people and the governments in the Muslim world. The people want something and the government wants something else. There is no, a point where what the people want can meet what the government wants.
But even in Washington,
that's the same. Yes, it's the same. Because see, people always think in a way that how to live with others. But as we see, those governments are not willing to live with others. Palestinians for 78 years have similarly accepted the Israeli occupation. They haven't actually said yes, but they say, okay, fine, we are occupied, let's see what we can do. The Israelis were killing them daily, and they have never stopped. They were entering Masjid al-Aqsa. Desecration was always happening. The settlers were never stopped killing Palestinians.
What about humanitarian assistance? Because for a long time, we've also had the official statement from Secretary Blinken saying that they want there to be humanitarian assistance. Do you think that it's possible? Because for a long time, aid was not being allowed also. What is the situation now?
A humanitarian aid coming to a people you are killing. I mean, which kind of equation this is? You are from one side killing the people, from the other side you are giving them humanitarian aid. This is not something logic can accept. It's again kind of game they are trying to let us know, or trying to make us understand, manipulate our mind that we are the good people. We actually wanted to eliminate the bad people who's in Gaza and keep the good people. Who says this?
But is that
the kids are being killed, children being killed. How can you judge them and say they're good, they're bad?
But Munir Sahab, this narrative, I think what Abubaker Sahab is talking about, I think it's a very, he's right. He's saying that, on the one hand, there is, somebody has to take the responsibility of killing thousands of people. And on the other hand, there is talk of, yes, give humanitarian assistance. Isn't that itself a paradox when we say that, on the one hand, they're allowing for this bombing, and on the other hand, they're talking about humanitarian assistance?
Even the humanitarian aid is not reaching over there. There is no food, there is no water. Israelis are bombing hospitals, school. They have bombed the refugee camp, and they have just divided the very small, the Gaza party into two concentration camps. And now those who are taking refuge from Gaza to save their lives, save their children, even they have been bombed. And what kind of this face is, and I must say this is a dual face basically, and this is quite hypocritical statements that the humanitarian aid shall reach over there, and on the other hand you are supporting all with ammunition and with tanks and with everything, with all rockets and and Israeli using that ammunition that is being supplied to them. And meanwhile, you also have no word of any asking Israeli to stop it. In the at the UN forums, you just ask for humanitarian pause. Means like it can be a 1 hour or 2 hour pause, and after you would say, okay, that was the humanitarian pause, and some water has reached over there, or like some medicines have reached. Now again, and I would say that is just out of any rational, and this brutality will not, I don't know how the governments are accepting it.
There's no other word for it. But Abubaker, let me, the narrative that you're talking about, the narrative that Hamas narrative, and the fact that initially United States talked about how it is Hamas that initiated this. Of course, you also said earlier on at this program that the war has continued for a long time. Even before this incident happened, the Palestinians have been at war. Am I right?
We are actually at war. We are at war since 1948, since our land got occupied.
So this narrative, would you say that it's miserably failed?
It is actually. Just blaming Hamas, it doesn't mean that you have actually taken the responsibility of all what's happening on Hamas. Okay, assume there was no Hamas. Do you think Palestinians would have accepted an occupier on their land? Why would they? Why you want us to accept the occupiers? Why you want Palestinians to say, yes, you have occupied our land, this is your land, do what you want? It will never happen. And plus one point, very, very important thing. You see, again, I have to say, and I have said this before, there is something called Masjid al-Aqsa. Yes. Masjid al-Aqsa belongs to Muslims. It doesn't belong to Jewish. So we actually not only defending something that Palestinian named, it's not labeled for Palestinians. It is for Muslims. So it is our duty and other Muslims' duty to come forward and defend their holy mosque. So actually this concept have to be educated for the Muslims. Otherwise, yes, you will talk like that this Palestinian issue, this is Hamas. No, this is not true. The truth is that this land belongs first to Muslim. Number one. Number two, it belongs to the Palestinian Muslim. Number three, this land been occupied since 1948. And before, because this occupation didn't come in one day, it came after a lot of war, out of a lot of genocides happened inside Palestine.
But now that we know, I mean, unfortunately, the ineffectiveness of the UN has been highlighted. by this whole incident. We've seen, you know, the massacre at play. We've seen the brutality at play. In the absence of these organizations, when they are so ineffective, what is the solution?
We have to sacrifice. See, taking something, returning, the freedom seekers have to sacrifice. We know, like in Algeria, they have lost around 6 million martyrs in order to get free from their occupiers when it was a French colony. Vietnamese have lost around 3.5 million. Afghans have lost also many. So actually, see, it is something we have to pay. This is a cost of being free. Yes, we need to be free. We accepted to pay the cost, and yes, it is a huge cost, no doubt. But I have to mention, this cost Palestinians are paying now. But then it is not only us who have to stand now. It is the whole world have to stand. The Muslim nations have to stand.
You're saying the whole world has to stand. We've seen the comments by Iran. Munir Ahmad has said that US would be hard hit if Washington did not implement ceasefire in Gaza. It doesn't look like Washington is in any mood to implement ceasefire at this time, and I hope I'm wrong. But so what happens? The whole world gets involved? What kind of a scenario are you looking at now?
Look, at the moment, most of the countries are, in the state of wait and see. And they have raised their voices at the UN forum. That is what they can do. 122 states voted in favor of ceasefire, and even 3 resolutions were put up in UN Security Councils that were vetoed by United States and UK. So the democratic process is on, but this is not. It would not be solved merely with the democratic process, and I believe, like those who are in favor of a Palestinian cause, and they want the UN resolutions of 1947 and others shall be implemented. They need to come together, and on the other hand, there is a realization in the Arab states and even in other countries as well. They perhaps, like if they indulge into or they support physically the Palestinian people, it might spread to other parts of, and that is the reason that most of the countries are reluctant to support, and this fire will spread to their own lands, and their own interests, geopolitical interests, their economic interest would be compromised because of it. Perhaps, but this is the time when the member states of the UN need to look beyond their political, geopolitical or economic interests. It is the cause that is much more important, and that is humanitarian cause.
We talk about that. Yeah. We talk about rising above geopolitical interests as far as nations are concerned. But there's really one country the world is looking at this time. There is one country that it seems hold that kind of power over Israel. And that country, unfortunately, is not budging. Abubaker. There is, as far as the US is concerned, there doesn't, it is that one country that's going to make a difference to Israel. It's that one country that can maybe propel and initiate the kind of ceasefire that is needed from the Israeli side. But we are not having any of that from the US till now. The public pressure in the meantime is mounting. We are looking at, pro-Palestine rallies. All of that is true. The narrative also that had come from the US and also Israel is punctured to a large extent. But at the same time, when there is ineffectiveness all around, there seems to be, like you said, perhaps fighting it out. Is that the only solution for the Palestinians?
As a Palestinians, yes, we have no other solution. But as a nation, yes, we have thousands of solutions. Okay. See, so far it is, unfortunately, yes, we have no value. The Arab countries, the Muslim countries, what they say, they have no value. US is not accepting what they're doing. Yesterday we have seen the press conference between the Jordanian, Egyptian, and the US foreign ministers. And they were again and again asking for ceasefire, but he was denying. So it's mean that what they say have no value in US policy. What Arabs want have no value. Palestinians' life have no value. Muslim world have no value so far. So then what should we do? Should we sit and wait? We can't sit and wait. Our land is being occupied, have been occupied. Occupiers are playing with our, holy places. They are desecrating our holy places. So it is time, whenever there's a time for any person who's been occupied, whose rights been taken away from him, when he have a time to take back his right, do you think he won't? It's a human nature. He have to react. This is something I think totally normal. Somebody have taken your thing, it is your right to demand it. It is your right to fight to take it back. If the rules and regulations are made to stop you from taking your right, so these rules and regulations are wrong.
But do you think the UN can play any role at all?
It can, according to their rules. What Israelis are doing is totally genocide. What Israel is doing is totally a crime war. But
it's largely
on the ground, they are not doing it. They have said the same thing when Russians have attacked Ukraine. And they have worked forcefully to stop the aggression of Russia on Ukraine. But they are not doing the same. They have used NATO forces. US have used their forces to stop. They have sent it to Ukraine. They are not doing the same, of course, with the Palestinians. At least stop killing children. Stop killing civilians. You want to fight Hamas? Go and fight Hamas. Who says no? Okay, we accept. There's Hamas, go and fight them. And they are fighting Hamas. Hamas is fighting them back. But this is not what they want. They want to kill Palestinians. They want to show that they are the demolishers. They are the terminators. They can remove Palestinians. And they want to show that they are above the law. And that's what's happening. They're not obeying any law. They're not abandoned to any law. They have proved now that they are above the law. They have proved that they are above international law. They have proved that they are above United Nations law. And that's the main problem.
Munir sir.
A couple of weeks back, Netanyahu mentioned that now it's the time either Israel will live here or the Palestine. That is the sheer violence of the UN resolutions and right to land to the Palestinian people. And I believe Palestinians were so kind to give them their piece of land when the Jews were looking for some space to live after the Holocaust. But what now could be done? I believe whatever resolution will be put up in the UN Security Council, it would be vetoed by the US or UK or both of them mainly. And even the resolution in the UN General Assembly is not binding to any country if they implement that resolution or not. Now, what could be done, I believe, one like OIC countries, they shall immediately convene and take very strong stance on it in favor of Palestine and to ceasefire. That would make a difference. The second most important thing is the European Union countries. They should come together and we shall have like a collective resolution on it and pressing the United States.
Let me take Abubaker.
Third thing, the US people shall emphasize and stress and compel their senators or the Congress people to have a joint resolution to the President of the United States to immediately take action on the ceasefire. So these are the three solutions that I believe at the moment can be done.
Mr. Matar, are any of these solutions possible in your opinion?
It is possible if we see the other side, a side who accepts laws. But we see they're not accepting laws. These laws are not made for them, it's made for us.
But they will accept pressure.
They will be, that's the only thing. Okay, since now a few months, they were again and again entering Al-Aqsa Mosque. Everybody was calling them, stop entering Al-Aqsa Mosque. This mosque belongs to Muslims, don't touch the mosque. But again they were entering and they are building under the mosque and they were decided to demolish the mosque. Who have stopped them? Have they listened to us? No. Have they listened to the Muslim world? No. What to do then? So that's what pushed Hamas and the other, because we will always mention Hamas. By the way, Hamas is, yes, the fighters have initiated, but they were not the only ones. There were others as well. You know, people wanted to protect the mosque. It is a holy place. So this concept have to be there. If you actually look at Palestinians, that they have attacked Israelis only because they want to attack, so this is not fair. You have to know what have pushed them, why they are doing this. See, they have built their own weapons, Palestinians. They are under siege since 17 years, and yet they have built their weapons, they have built their army. You can call them fighter, you can call them army, whatever you call it. They are not more than maybe 1,000-2,000. They have worked only to protect the holy place. And yes, they said, we will do this and we will accept the sacrifice. Yes, they have done it, but there was no any support from the other one. And this is the problem we are facing now. It's not about how Palestinians going to face this. Yes, they have, I said again, they have attacked the Israelis in order to stop them from desecration of the Holy Mosque. But what other people have done, what other nations have done, have they helped the Palestinians? Have they stand with us? No, everyone so far have let us go. And this is the problem. The Muslims have not stopped Israeli from their aggression. They have not pressured the US to stop the Israel from their aggression.
But Muslim nations have taken a stand against what's happening in Palestine.
Show me the stand. Where is the stand? Are missiles still going to us or not? The Israelis, are they bombarding or not? So what stand? The stand doesn't have a value. You have to take a stand that have a value, that can really stop. You are taking a stand in your seat and just shouting, yes, stop and stop. That's not the reason. There is something called international laws. There's something called
but there doesn't seem to be, unfortunately. We have all the time that we have today for this very, very, very important topic, very close to our heart. And of course, as Muslims and Pakistanis, every day, as the death toll mounts, of course, our hearts are filled with, there are no words for what's happening in Palestine. There are no words for the sentiments of all of us Pakistanis as to the death of children, the women, the lack of any aid that is at this time, sufficient aid that is there at this time. And of course, one can only pray and hope that there is a solution, that there is a ceasefire very, very soon. Like you said, it's very simple. Stop killing the children, stop killing the women. And of course, the land, everyone knows who the land belongs to and why the struggle is there. Thank you so much for being with us. Abubaker, Younis, Matar, thank you for joining us. Munir Ahmad Saab, thank you for being with us on this very important topic. I want to move on and talk about the political situation as it builds up every day. We have with us Dr. Niaz Murtaza. Ji, Niaz Saab, can you hear me? Niaz Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ji, Niaz Saab, we are looking at, comments from major political parties. We saw what is being said by the leadership of the PPP also. What kind of a scenario? I mean, of course, having elections that are then, of course, acceptable to all political parties is extremely important. How do you look at the scenario now at this time, when there is also talk of level playing field, when there's, the comments that are flying back and forth? How, overall, how do you assess the situation as it builds up?
Well, I think, it can but move now that, there is clarity on the date itself. On the date itself, and the Election Commission has committed to the Supreme Court about this date. But then, of course, the next issue is about, the level playing field. And, the PPP has some of its complaints, but then,
Ji. Let me go to Zahid Saab and then I'll come back to you. Ji, Zahid Gishkori Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, Mahrukh.
Zahid Saab, you like Niaz Saab was saying, PPP has concerns at this time. How do you think it's going to be able to, of course, the Election Commission also and overall, to address those concerns or apprehensions, whatever one may call it?
Mahrukh, look, as we have been discussing this important issue in a couple of your programs, that now almost every political party is showing the concern that they are not being provided level playing field by the Election Commission of Pakistan. Same concern was expressed by Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Tehreek-e-Insaf has long been complaining this, and it's obvious on the ground as well. And now Pakistan People's Party. So it means that all political parties almost saying this, that they are not being provided this level playing field. But we understand that the country is also in a quite uncertain situation on many fronts. And the recent challenge country is facing the terrorism. You know, in the past 72 hours, almost 7 terror attacks happened in different parts of 3 provinces, particularly in Mewali and in tribal areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. DA Khan almost being hit every day, even today, and even in Balochistan. You know, this is the biggest challenge and the country again facing. And amid this challenge, yes, of course, we are going for the elections, and most important thing is that all political parties. But the thing is, as we at the national TV debate should try to establish the consensus and convince, and political parties should also come up now. It's time, because we have around 90 days, almost 90 days to go, and we expect that the election would be held in February. Obviously, it's obvious, and all institutions are also trying, and all political parties should come forward. We saw in the past 2 weeks that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf was also trying to engage other political parties, even though the rival JUIF, but situation now changed. You know that more arrests happened for the party, and we don't know that what would happen. Even some political parties are not engaging their voters as well. You know, the religious political parties have been a major factor and contributing to Pakistan political arena. But these parties are now mobilizing people on different issues like Palestine, on the issue of Gaza, and but 3 political parties, like we are discussing Pakistan People's Party, we have seen this, that the party is enjoying good level playing field at least in the Sindh province. They have been ruling this province in the past 10 years, and now even though, but something could happen in the Sindh. As a journalist, I know this, that Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz is trying to get a deeper ground, as there was discussion between Grand Democratic Alliance and the Pakistan Muslim League Noon. You know, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf developed some roots in Sindh province, but we don't see now, even in the Karachi, that this party remains much popular as it was. But now, in my opinion, that at least
Zahid Saab, let me go to Niaz Saab. I'll come back to you. Let me interject here. Ji, Niaz Saab, can you hear me now? Ji, Niaz Saab? I think there's a problem with audio. Zahid
Yes,
Saab,
I can hear you.
Ji, okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Niaz Saab, there is, you know, like I said, it is extremely important for there to be, you know, at this time, an election that is acceptable to all political parties. Of course, historically speaking, when we look back, all the elections that we've had, you know, there have been allegations by one party or the other on, you know, their fairness. But overall, in the kind of, you know, post 9th May at this time, we are, of course, you know, we need elections, we need political parties to have, you know, to look at a solution for Pakistan, to look at, you know, long-term solutions, to look at the prosperity, the economic prosperity of Pakistan, all of those things, you know, to keep those goals in mind, so to speak. Do you think with a view to that, there's going to be, you know, the PMLN has, the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab has said that, you know, he wants to meet with political parties. Do you think it's going to be possible to have that kind of an interaction?
Well, I think it was going to require huge steps to make sure that everybody has a level playing field. PPP's problems are still smaller. the big issue is, with the PTI, with all its leaders, either in jail or underground or being hounded in, false cases. So all that will have to change. There will have to be, withdrawal of the cases, releases of the people, end to this, habit of, arresting people and then forcing them to, leave the party, join other parties. So, Mr. Nawaz Sharif and all this, this will have to be decided by the state whether it's going to allow free and fair elections or not. So at this time, I think the chances are not very bright at the moment, but of course one should always push for it, that all the impediments that are being put in the place of one party are withdrawn and it's allowed to participate freely in the elections.
Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Zahid Saab. Zahid Saab, there is, in Punjab, when we look at the Istehkam party also at this time, what kind of a scenario are you looking at in Punjab particularly, with the PMLN, of course, it seems like leading as far as, among the political parties?
Mahrukh, look, as a journalist, I was expecting 2 months ago that Pakistan People's Party was trying to fill the vacuum left by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, particularly in South Punjab. But now, in the past 2 weeks, we have seen newly launched party, Tehreek-e-Istehkam Party, is getting momentum, being mobilized and gathering. We have seen about the party that it might be the party which is filling the political vacuum, which otherwise Pakistan People's Party was expecting to grab. And this could be the reason that the party is complaining that they are not being provided level playing field in Punjab. But this party, new party, Pakistan Muslim League Q and Tehreek-e-Istehkam Party, I could see that they would be playing vital role in Punjab. And otherwise, if you look that all three major political parties were not coming on the single platform to seal the deal on democracy project of Pakistan.
But Zahid Saab, isn't it also going to depend upon individual to an extent? It always does it not? On the individual candidates also, and what they bring to each political party?
Individual played a vital role in the past as well, and this around more than 70 National Assembly seats are belonging to electables in Punjab, and that's why this is the reason that the South Punjab, as I told you in the previous program, that around 34 National Assembly seats are very vital, and these candidates left PTI because they were in the part of the government, and now they are independent otherwise, and we don't know that these candidates would be joining either PT. Obviously, they are not going to join PTI. Either they would be joining PPP, Pakistan Muslim League Noon, and we have seen a couple of electables also join Tehreek-e-Istehkam. The top leadership of the parties, the main parties, are also their political futures as an electable or the member National Assembly is quite uncertain, as with the Nawaz Sharif, as with Imran Khan, obviously, the Shah Mahmood Qureshi, and then Jahangir Khan Tareen as well. The Pakistan People's Party at this stage of time seems to be the top tier leadership and the second tier leadership of Pakistan People's Party in a legitimacy that they could contest the election, they could be a part of the parliament, because although they are facing different cases, but no convictions happen, as at least to other political parties' leaders happened in the past 4 or 5 years.
Let me come back to you, Zahid Saab. Ji, Niaz Saab, there is, as far as having elections at this time with political, like Zahid Saab is saying, we don't know, there are legal hurdles at this time until we have clarity from the Supreme Court as far as, Jahangir Khan Tareen is concerned, the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab is concerned. So, as far as, of course, with the PTI chairman at this time in jail, also facing courts, in this kind of scenario, there is a degree of uncertainty. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing, the sword and these impediments hanging around so many key, politicians across the board, but then there is a PTI, and a lot of objective, neutral. All these cases are contrived. They don't really have a leg to stand on, and they were brought up because of the political factors. So that is why because Pakistan is in such a bad situation that we need.
So in a sense, if all the leadership, major leadership, of all the major political parties is facing those legal challenges, perhaps in a sense there is a level playing field, no?
Well, no, I mean, at least with people and everybody else is free. Most of its top leadership is, facing some impediment or the other. And then, its leader is, the leader is behind bars. Nawaz Sharif can at least go around and, do convincing campaigning. So I would say PTI faces the biggest hurdles. The rest is much, much smaller.
Right. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us. Dr. Niaz Murtaza, thank you for joining us. Zahid Gishkori, thank you for being with us today. Of course, Pakistan needs elections that are credible. Pakistan needs elections that are acceptable to all political parties. With a view to that, perhaps the major leadership of all major political parties meeting, or perhaps coming to some kind of an agreement on those core issues would perhaps be helpful in the larger democratic interest, as of course initiated earlier on, said by former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab. Whether that goes through and whether that will have results or not, we will know in the next week or so. And of course, the long-term reforms that are awaited are on the agenda for the next government that comes in. Of course, the numbers we will not know for a while yet. Thank you so much for joining us today on Personal.